You have been a county commissioner in Whitfield County?
Yes.
You have, so you have run for office in the past. Why are you running for office? Why are you running for this seat?
Well, I've been involved and interested in politics since I was in high school. So I have helped a lot of people run for office. And I did run for myself, and I've kind of kept an eye on things. It turns out that now my husband and I have gotten out of, we're kind of retired, and my grandchildren are getting up. I do have two that are close, but I've got time, and I really felt like I could offer some good leadership to our area and kind of a different perspective, and I hope a professional representation for the 54.
Because this is a special election where current Senator Charlie Bethel has accepted an appointment to the Appeals Court of Georgia, and the seat is vacant, and it's a little over a 30-day special election. There's no time for primaries, so the candidates can identify a party. 5 candidates in the race, 4 chose to identify a party. Why did you choose not to identify a party?
Well, really, with it being in the paper, they said nonpartisan, and I thought everybody would just be nothing, not put anything next to their name. I was a little surprised that they all put the R next to their name. But when I have, over the years, when I've helped other candidates run for office, they always say, I vote for the person, I don't vote for the party. So I thought, oh, here's a great chance for people to know me without identifying me with a particular party. So I felt like this was an opportunity to get out there. Unfortunately, 30 days is not a lot of time to get out to know people, but I'm doing the best I can. And that's why we're having a lot of meet and greets. I'm going door to door, trying to, a lot of people in Whitfield County, I won't say most, but a lot of people in Whitfield County do know me. The challenge has been to get out to the voters in the other counties that haven't met me.
Well, you said people to see your name without identifying a party. I don't want to quote exactly what you said a minute ago. Do you identify with a party? Can I ask? The other candidates did. It wasn't necessary. I want to be clear on that. But do you identify with a party generally?
Yes, I do. I would have to say I do identify with the Democrats. And I know that I had some people say, well, you can never win a race if you don't run as a Republican. And the guy who said that to me was talking about how he's in Murray County, and he said, nobody ever comes over here. We're the stepchild. Nobody cares about us. And I said, well, let me put it this way. You can vote for somebody who knows I've got to work hard for the next 2 years to earn your vote. Or you can vote for somebody who takes your vote for granted because they have an R next to their name. And if you want to be taken for granted, then you can continue going the party path. If you want somebody who, I look at issues, I don't look at party. I don't care who introduces an issue. I don't care if it's Democrat. I don't care if it's a Republican. I don't care if it's the governor. It doesn't matter. The question is, what is that issue and what is the validity? Does it have validity and is it a good bill? I did that when I was on the Board of Commissioners. I stand up for what I believe, even if it's not the popular opinion. And I think in this case, I can offer a different perspective, and I want to show people I'm an old-time politician. I think I've been a businessman. We were in business for years. Even though I'm an attorney, most of my experience has been in the business world. And small business, not a big business, but a small business. And in my business, I was in charge of, I had hands-on hiring, firing, making sure the maintenance man didn't leave a drop cord in the floor that OSHA could get us for, making sure the fire extinguishers were charged, making sure that all of the reports, federal reports for payroll and all those things were done, and at the same time trying to make sure our supplies were right, that our overhead was accounted for when we were pricing. So I've had experience in all of those things, and I think that's something that sets me apart from the other candidates. I've had a lot, years of experience in the little, managing a little business, not the big business. And I have not, even though I have been an attorney and I've worked as an attorney for probably no more than 10 years accumulated. I have that background of, kind of understanding the law. And in this particular race, especially, whoever is elected, we're going to be behind because we're not even going to have, if there's a runoff in this election, the 54th won't even have a representative until after the assembly has already started.
So even though it's a special election, there is a 50% plus one vote required?
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Couple more questions. I do want to get to, I don't want to get stuck on party, but I do want to talk about Atlanta and give you an opportunity to tell me about legislation you would like to be involved with if you get the opportunity to go to Atlanta. At a forum here recently, I guess all the candidates, I watched a video, were asked about their current voting. You said you voted for Clinton opposed to Trump.
Right.
Do you mind me asking who you voted for in the primary?
In the primary.
When it was 17 Republicans and Bernie Sanders and Clinton, can I ask you your primary vote?
Well, I could, except I don't really think that's relevant.
No problem. The only reason is I heard that and I was wondering about the,
Yeah,
that's no problem. I have no problem.
Asking the question about the presidential election was relevant for any reason other than to maybe, try to see if everybody up there was on the same page. And
I just thought if you did not care to say Hillary, which I will say openly as a journalist, I respected everybody's answer and I respected everybody gave it. I just thought maybe you might tell me about the primary vote. So,
well, I might as well just say I voted for Bernie. I was for Sanders.
okay.
Primarily because I felt that I'm like a lot of other people. I have concern about being too closely tied to big banks and big business, and that was my concern with Clinton. After the primary, though, I just felt like I do think experience counts for something, and I was concerned about some of the things that I heard Trump say. And I said at the forum, and I'll say again, if my children had said some of the things that he said, they would be punished. And he's supposed to be the spokesperson for the country, and I was appalled at some of the things he said, and was concerned about his ability to represent us in a, what I consider presidential manner. But, we can go off on Trump and Clinton and all that stuff.
I just heard it, so that's why I asked. So we'll go to actual things that we may feel matters to the voters, legislation, and the legislative session in Atlanta. Let me do a little lightning round. If you can go quickly with these, because you have to get to your people that have come to see you this evening. Casino gambling, the opportunity to put it on the ballot for Georgians to vote for it, whether it be horse race, can you be specific, horse track betting, and casino gambling, or where would you stand on that as far as putting it on the ballot?
As I understand it, the way that issue has to be presented is it's presented on the ballot, as you said first.
Right, for a constant, right.
I have mixed feelings about any of those, whether it's a casino or horse racing. I don't feel strongly either way. I would be in favor of putting it on the ballot, either all of them or one of them, it doesn't matter. And then based on what the people in the district voted for, I could support it either way. I've heard people say that it really doesn't help an area economically. I've read others say, yes, it does. So I would want to see how the people around here feel about it before I said, but I don't have a strong feeling about it one way or the other.
This has been a hot button, and it'll probably come back. I don't know what kind of traction it'll get, but I'll call it the religious RIFA. RIFA has been there twice this past time. It did pass the House and the Senate. The pastor protection bill was put together with it. Governor Deal vetoed it. Did you support Governor Deal's veto? And I know that's passive, but if it comes back up on the floor and you're the one there, where would you stand on that?
That bill, as I understand it, we probably need a religious freedom bill. The problem with that bill is it had been changed. It didn't track what other states were doing. Some people had taken some language out of it. The federal law requires that you have to show a substantial burden on a religious organization, and they had taken the word substantial out. And the concern is, to me, paying my taxes is a burden. That doesn't mean I don't pay my taxes. So legally, you need to set a higher standard, and that bill didn't track that. I was also told that the way the bill was worded, it would have allowed state funds to be used to discriminate against private organizations. Now, you can't take state money or public money and use it and contribute it to a charity, but you can give them grants if they're performing a governmental function. So the concern was that they couldn't, the way the law was worded, they couldn't even withdraw those funds if the organization that got the grant was discriminating against other people. So my position is, if you can't take public money and then use it to discriminate against the public, if they take that out and they go back and track the laws that the other states have, I don't have a problem with it.
Okay, another one, and we'll get to one or two if you'd like, but one that you would like to see. I'm calling it, and I don't like to misrepresent legislation, but I'm calling it campus carry. It made it past the House and Senate this time, a form of campus carry and being able to carry a firearm on a college campus or a university, and the governor vetoed that. That possibly would come back to the floor. Where would you stand on that?
The regents and the university system do not support that. I personally think it's dangerous to have the kids carrying guns, and I would support the veto, or I don't support campus carry.
Okay. In this, and again, I don't like to misrepresent legislation, but in this district, I'm going to call him former because he's accepted the judge, the position as appellate court judge, Charlie Bethel, that we're trying to replace. There was a bill, I'm going to call it the firefighters bill, where if they were able to prove they had cancer,
Yes.
the treatments with workman's comp. And again, I don't want to misrepresent that bill and butcher it up and get it wrong, but State Senator Bethel opposed that bill. And it did end up passing. And I don't want to say he had total opposition because I never want to be unfair to a candidate. But Governor Deal ended up vetoing that bill also. Where would you stand on that one? Because that kind of came a little bit out of this district.
I don't know why they would have vetoed, why the bill was vetoed. I talked with a fire chief the other day, and we discussed that issue. As far as I can tell, and from what I understand, he tells me 60% of firemen who will ultimately develop cancer, and so they found a link. I don't know why they vetoed it. I don't know. Sometimes you just don't know. Did they add something to that bill that made it not something they could pass?
Have you read that bill?
No, I haven't read it.
But if after reading the bill, is that something you would support in this district?
I don't see any reason not to support that. I think if they're showing a link between cancer and firefighting, then I think that's part of the hazard of that job, and it should be covered.
If you were to become the senator of this district, what bills or what legislation would you want to work on? What are your priorities for the citizens of this district if given the opportunity to go to Atlanta?
Well, I'm going to tell you, my personal feeling about this job is that primarily the job is to budget the state's money. And I'm not particularly in favor of trying to think of bills to pass. The only thing that I have talked about that I do have a problem with right now is this whole process of the special election, because the counties are going to have to pay for this. This appointment was made the day after the election, the general election.
November 9th.
Right, the day after. And I talked to one of the counties in the elections office, and he said this is gonna cost us $35,000 and we don't have that in our budget. And if you take 4 counties, you can figure you're gonna be around $100,000, and if there's a runoff, 200. I just think if the governor is going to appoint someone that causes a special election to be called, that the state should have to pay for that. As a former county commissioner, I know $35,000 may not sound like a lot to the state, but on a county level, you can buy fire equipment, you can fix a road, you can do things with $35,000. And I don't think the counties should have to bear that burden.
So you think it's an unexpected expense that was not budgeted
Yes.
at the end of a year?
Yes.
That-
And certainly, we're not expecting to have to hold a special election immediately following the general election.
You said it wasn't your main interest to go to Atlanta and see what bills could pass and not pass, and not to quote you, but you brought up the budget. So are there things in the budget like education, teachers' pay, salaries? And I'm going to say, do you see things in the budget that should be increased or decreased, or anything that could be worked on as far as trying to cut the budget and still provide services? Anything where that's concerned?
I think from what I have seen, there's a lot of waste in the budget, and you could reallocate some of this money to better causes. Georgia ranks second from the bottom in the country on expenditures for child health care, and I'm a big child advocate. We have 300,000 people who are what you would classify as working poor, who fall into a gap in medical coverage. I think that we should make sure that our citizens have health care available, basic health care, and if that means transferring some money over here to where it needs to go, I don't think we have to raise our taxes, but we do need to be smarter with them. I went and looked to see in this position, the 3 appellate judge positions that were created, just to see how much that cost. And it was $1.7 million, and that's an ongoing expense. If we had taken that $1.7 million and put it towards child care, the child health care, we could have we could have helped some kids, and instead we created some positions that I don't think were necessary. I've asked, I'm an attorney. I said, I had talked to another attorney, I said, I was not aware there was a backlog of cases at the Court of Appeals level. He said, there's not. So I don't think that was a necessary expense. And if you take that one item that I know about, and you just start looking around and seeing how many more of those are there, that we could reallocate that money to places where it needs to go.
Okay, last year before session, I attended several town hall meetings with Speaker David Ralston concerning merit pay for teachers. Governor Nathan Deal has showed that he's interested in going in the direction of merit pay. Have you looked at that? Do you have an opinion on that, if that was to come to the floor this time?
No, I have not looked at it. I haven't seen a bill. I have looked at the pre-bills, and I haven't seen anything related to that. But I will say that I think one of the things I have to be, if I am elected, that I have to be vigilant about is to make sure that the teachers are not punished because of the opposition the governor has seen on his the Opportunity School District amendment that was defeated. That's my understanding in reading the paper, that he is not happy about that, and that he may have some plans to get back at the teachers and the Teachers Association to kind of get them back for doing that. And I think that's, I think what they did, if you want to put it on a ballot and people vote on it and it's voted down, then you need to say the people voted it down and they don't want it. Now let's do something.
Right. I was going to get to that and give you the opportunity, because obviously failing schools, the Constitutional Amendment 1 failed. And a merit pay was something he was looking at last year. This year, so yes, on the failing schools, do you think this year in session that the governor will try to promote several things on the floor that get what he was looking for with teachers and failing schools?
Well, I'm not on the inside track, and the only thing I know is what I read in the paper. I do it. As I said, I have read that there's some expectation that there will be some backlash on that. But as I said the other night in the forum, besides the problem, when I was talking to one of our legislators about that amendment, And they were explaining to me, said, well, you've got a problem down in DeKalb County, and you've got a lot of, that school board down there's all that stuff, and you've got kids that could graduate and not be able to go to college. And I said, I said, it sounds to me like that's a matter of what we used to say in the legal world, hard facts making bad law. I said, if there's a problem in DeKalb County, then the DeKalb County voters need to take care of that problem. The state does not need to come in and take care of that problem. Besides that you need to keep that at the local level. That's the local school board, and the voters need to handle that matter. You have another issue that I hadn't heard anyone else raise, and that is, once you do that, if that had passed, you have created another layer of bureaucracy that's going to have to be in charge of determining what are failing schools and going through the motions of putting somebody else in there and supervising those schools and all that stuff. And we would have created another layer of government that will just not only continue in forever, but as government agencies have a tendency to do, they grow and grow and grow. And I think we need to be very mindful when we start talking about we need to do something, we need to regulate something, we need to take action, and be mindful of, but what is that going to cost if we start doing those things? And I have a big concern in looking at some of the legislation that was introduced last year, that I feel like the state is turning into what the federal government was doing to the states, where the federal government was coming in and kind of taking over a lot of things that the states have been in charge of before. And I'm seeing things where I think the state is turning around trying to do the same thing. There was a bill introduced last session that said that the state that was proposing for the county and city governments to have to get the permission of the state if they got a federal grant. And I said, I see absolutely no reason for that. I was talking to the mayor, one of the mayors of a little city here in town, and he was talking about the state's talking about coming in and collecting the city's fees from them, and I don't see any point in that. I mean, right now, Whitfield County has a problem because the state's been collecting sales tax money, discovered they had made a mistake, and now they're withholding money. And, for the county to suddenly go from maybe an $800,000 check to a $300,000 check in a month, that's a substantial blow. So I am very concerned about the people in Atlanta thinking they can fix everything for the people on the local level. I think the closer you keep your government to the people, the better off you are.
Ms. Peppers, thank you very much. And as we always say at FetcherNews.com, we wish all candidates well, and we thank you for your willingness to serve.
Okay, thank you.